Hi everyone, it is Nurse Nettie here to talk to you about how to solve the problem of communication between parents and their kids, especially with having those tough conversations about, let's say, sexual health. That's one of the toughest ones. So I am here to help you with that. I want to talk today a little bit about how we can be prepared, how we can prep ourselves as parents to talk to kids. And the first thing that we can do is we can look within. We can look inside of ourselves and find out what was our experience like? Did our parents talk to us? Did we have healthy sexual relationships when we were growing up? Because these experiences actually impact us as people and as parents and can really influence our relationship with our children in having these tough conversations. So before you really dive in to these heavier conversations, like I know you probably have already talked about puberty and their bodies and different things like that. Those are a little lighter, but once you really start to dive deeper into guiding your kids in sexual health and having healthy sexual health as they're growing up and becoming an adult, it's really helpful to look within. So I want to do a funny little exercise with you because this might give you an idea of where you are or where you're at per se, in your comfort level of having these talks. So if I were to tell you or write on the board the word balls, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like you want to laugh? Does it make you feel like, oh, I can't believe she said that? That is, inappropriate. How does that make you feel? And that will kind of give you an idea of your comfort level with talking about subjects that are related to sexual health. So for example, first of all, I'm a nurse, so we don't even say the word balls, we say testicles. So we could say that too. What if I said the word testicles? How does that make you feel? But regardless, if it makes you feel like it's inappropriate, and it can be inappropriate, of course, but if it makes you feel like, oh, I can't believe she said that, that's uncalled for, inappropriate, it could be that you were raised in a house where everything was taboo, that you couldn't talk about anything, that maybe sex was bad, and you just lived in a house that was really strict and swept everything under the rug. If you giggled, if you laughed or laughed a lot, that could be that you were raised in a household kind of in the same manner, that maybe it wasn't talked about, but you joked about it. Maybe you joked about it with your friends. It wasn't a conversation that you had. You just laughed and made jokes about it. Okay. The other way is, or the third way that you might interpret that word is it's kind of funny, but it's kind of normal. And that might have been a home that you grew up in that the conversation was comfortable, that you could say anything. You could say the right word, testicles, and it was accepted. You could say the funny word, balls, and it was acceptable as well. So this is a good measure to see how you feel, maybe how your past experiences are. Because, like I said before, these really impact us and create maybe anxiety or maybe no anxiety about having the talk with our children. So understanding and being aware of your comfort level from your past is really critical before you really dive into these conversations. So the first thing to look at is your past experience with your parents, with your own parents. So what type of relationship did you have? Was it open? Could you ask them any question? Maybe if you ask them a question, you might be scolded or you might have gotten in trouble. Oh, we don't talk about that. Or maybe you didn't even ask at all and they didn't have the conversation with you. It just was a taboo conversation. So that is important to look at. So look at your past experiences. Maybe write them down. What was it like to talk to my parents? You could start with just the baseline of talking to my parents about anything about life. And then really write down, what was my experience about sexual health? Were they there for me when I had my first relationship? Could I come to them when I was interested in learning about diseases? Maybe one of my friends got a disease and I wanted more information. If you just didn't have the talk and maybe they shoved a book under your door to read, that is impactful for you. That's good to know, because these are areas that you may need to work on and you may need to address before you talk to your own kids. Now, the other thing to look at is your past experiences in your own life when you were growing up. That first relationship, that first sexual relationship is really critical. What did that look like? Was it safe and secure? Was it maybe a little toxic? Maybe it was confusing. Maybe you had a very bad sexual experience growing up and you haven't really dealt with that. So these are things to be aware of. Your experience with talking to your parents and your experiences with your own relationships growing up. Take a look at those and just become aware of areas that you might feel really strong in and areas that you might have weaknesses. And that's okay, because we all have weaknesses, and to be aware of them is great, because those are the areas that we can work on. Now, I can help you with having the talk. I can definitely, with my programs, I can teach you how to talk to your kids. I have programs for your kids. So I can help you with that, because one of the things that is showing up in the research is that parents are skipping the talk because they feel like they don't have the skills or knowledge. And couple that with, that's not coupled, but take all three of those things, the skills, the knowledge, and the history, and parents will just put it off altogether. So taking a look at yourself is going to be really helpful, and then I can help you kind of overcome those things and give you the skills and the knowledge. That's my job, to give you the skills and the knowledge, because I really want to help you with this, because every child deserves to have these conversations with their parents. They deserve a rad parent, one that's resourceful, one that is available, and one is dependable. And they really do crave that. They really do crave having these conversations with their parents. Now, they may come off like they don't want to talk to you about anything, but deep down they really do. And it's our responsibility as a parent to give that to our children. Because here's the bonus. If they get it from their friends, or if they get it online, we have no idea what they're getting, right? Zero. But if we're able to provide it for them, we can help guide them, help make healthy choices, and instill our family values inside each of these conversations, so they can grow up carrying on the things that align with their values, align with the family values. So that's really, really important, and they want it from you. And like I said, every child deserves to have a rad parent. Now, we also, as parents, want to provide it for them as well. So I'm here to help you. But just before we dive into all of these things, it'd be really critical, and I encourage you to just take a look at your own past, look at the conversations you had with your parents, look at your own sexual health, your journey, and that'll give you an idea of where your foundation is and where we need to grow. So I am Nurse Netty. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I am here, like I said, you are not alone. I am here to help you with this, and I'll see you in the next video.